Hello and welcome to the Myschool channel. My name is Angela, and in this video we're going to continue tackling the JAMB past question for English language for the year 2024. Please stay with us, don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Myschool channel. Like I said earlier, we are tackling the JAMB past question for English language for the year 2024. So we are going to be tackling questions 101 to 125. Let's begin with question 101. In each of the following questions, choose the most appropriate stress pattern from the options. The stress syllable is written in capital letters. So the word is radioactive. So we are to look for the option that has the appropriate stress pattern. The first thing we're going to do is to divide the words into syllable. So we have radioactive. So we have 4 syllables. So when it comes to stress for multisyllabic words, it's important to note that the rules of stress don't always apply, but it's still important to know those rules. So for this particular one, the rule is that when you have a word that ends with IVE, the stress is usually on the penultimate syllable. That is the second syllable from the last. It's important to note, however, that this rule doesn't always work, so it's important to also use your judgment. So when you pronounce this word, it's pronounced as radioactive, radioactive. So the stress is in "ac" from the way the word is pronounced. And also the rule already tells us that when we have a word that ends with IVE, the stress is on the penultimate syllable. So the stress is here. So this makes option C the answer to this question. Question 102. In each of the following questions, the word in capital letter has the emphatic stress. Choose the option to which the given words relate. His reign was noted for peace. Option A, was his reign noted for wealth? B, whose house is noted for peace? C, was his reign examined for peace? And D, whose reign is noted for peace? So when it comes to emphatic stress, it's important to note that emphatic stress is the placement of greater stress on a particular word in a group of words. So this emphatic stress is done either for emphasis or for clarification. In this particular case, it is done for clarification. So someone asked a question, and the person who responded noted that there was a mistake in the question that was asked. So he's trying to make a correction for that particular question. So when it comes to this kind of question, the answer to this question is the question that has a word that is different from the word in capital letter. The reason for this is that when you ask that question, there was a mistake, and then the person is trying to clarify by emphasizing the word where the mistake was in. So you look for the one that is different. While option B, C, and D ends with peace, just like the response, option A ends with wealth. Wealth is different from peace. So this makes option A the answer. Was his reign noted for wealth? No. His reign was noted for peace. So option A is the answer to this question. Question 103. Again, we have to look for the option to which the given sentence relates. So it's another emphatic stress question. Bala ate a slice of bread. Option A, did Bala drink a slice of bread? B, did Bala eat a loaf of bread? C, did Olu eat a slice of bread? And D, did Bala eat a slice of cake? So the answer to this question is option D, did Bala eat a slice of cake? Remember that when it comes to emphatic stress question, you are looking for the option in which the word given in capital letter is different from that particular option. So we can see option A, B, and C has bread at the end, right? So this particular question, there was an error on the part of the person who asked the question, and the person who is answering is trying to clarify that error. So did Bala eat a slice of cake? No. Bala ate a slice of bread. So that's why bread is emphasized in that sentence. So option D is the answer to this question. Questions 104 to 108 comes with a comprehension passage, so I'll advise you to go down to the link in the description below. This takes you to my school website where you can access the comprehension passage, or you can pause the video as soon as the comprehension passage is displayed on your screen. So please do not forget that the aim of this comprehension passage is to read, understand, pinpoint the main ideas, and then get back to the questions. So we're moving on to question 104. The word anguish as used in the passage means A, confusion, B, anger, C, pain, and D, fear. So in order to answer this question, you have to look at the way the word anguish is used in that passage. Although we understand that the meaning of the word anguish is extreme suffering and pain, but we can also look at the way it is used in the passage to understand what the author is trying to refer to while using that word. So we can begin with, we started to walk to Cameroon. We traveled for 2 days across several labyrinths. We were in anguish. Our children's feet were swollen. Some of them beaten by snakes died because we were not able to carry them to hospital for treatment. So all of this suggests that the word anguish actually means pain. Although it may feel like it means fear, because earlier on in the passage, they talked a lot about how they were afraid of the intruders, those people who intruded into their village. But fear is not the meaning of anguish in this particular context, right? In this particular context, they are talking about the pain they felt as they journeyed through the mountains to Cameroon. So option C, pain, is the answer to this question. Question 105. The phrase "on that fateful day" is A, an adverbial phrase, B, a verb phrase, C, a noun phrase, and D, an adjectival phrase. So the answer to this question is an adverbial phrase. So in order to identify what grammatical name is used in that particular expression, you have to look at the entire sentence. So the sentence says, on that fateful day, they had pursued everyone in the neighboring villages. So whenever you see a group of words offsetted by a comma in a particular sentence, whether it's at the beginning of the sentence, in the middle of the sentence, or towards the end of the sentence, as long as it is offsetted by a comma, it is usually an adverbial phrase. Also, when it answers the questions how, why, when, etc., you know it's an adverbial. In this particular case, it is answering the question when. When had they pursued everyone in the neighboring village on that fateful day? So it's an adverbial phrase of manner. So it is qualifying the verb had pursued. So option A, an adverbial phrase, is the answer to this question. Question 106. From the passage, it is clear that A, everyone from the writer's village arrived Cameroon alive. B, everyone from the writer's village arrived in the mountains alive. C, some children were not able to make it to Cameroon. And D, all children made it to Cameroon alive despite the snake bites. So the answer to this question is option C, some children were not able to make it to Cameroon. And we can see this expressly stated in the passage. It says, some of them beaten by snakes died because we were not able to carry them to hospital for treatment. So this suggests that some of the children had died on their way to Cameroon. All the other options says that everyone made it to Cameroon, right? Everyone from the writer's village arrived in Cameroon. Everyone from the writer's village arrived in the mountains alive. And all children made it to Cameroon alive despite the snake bites. So all of this is not expressed in the passage. When you go through the passage, you won't see anything relating to any of these three options. So option C, some children were not able to make it to Cameroon, is the answer to this question. Question 107. What does the writer mean by we knew what we were up against? Option A, the height of the mountains they were running to. B, the ferociousness of the insurgents. C, the difficulty of life on the mountains. And D, the distance from the mountains to Cameroon. So the answer to this question is option B, the ferociousness of the insurgents. Again, in order to understand this particular sentence, we have to look at the way it is used in the passage. On that fateful day, they had pursued everyone in the neighboring villages. Later, they came to us and pursued us to the mountains. Everyone ran for their life. We knew what we were up against. They blocked the mountains for 2 months. We were stuck there, praying and fasting, asking our God to show us a way out. So everything that surrounds this particular sentence suggests that these insurgents were ferocious, right? They pursued everyone in the neighboring village. They came up to us, pursued us to the mountains. They blocked the mountains for 2 months. We were stuck there praying and fasting, asking our God to show us a way out. All of this shows that they were ferocious, and this is what they were up against, and they knew that. So it may feel like the difficulty of life on the mountains is the answer to this question, but it's important to note that the difficulty of life on the mountains came later on. They did not know that that was what was going to happen when they got into the mountains to escape these ferocious insurgents. So it came later on. So this we knew what we were up against is not telling us about the difficulty of life on the mountains. So option B, the ferociousness of the insurgents, is the answer to this question. Question 108. According to the writer, traveling across several labyrinths suggests A, it was easy for them to locate the path leading to Cameroon. B, Cameroon is a straight distance from the mountains. C, they arrived Cameroon after 2 days of crossing several rivers. And D, they had a complicated and tortuous journey through the bush. So the answer to this question is option D, they had a complicated and tortuous journey through the bush. Ordinarily, the word labyrinth actually means a difficult and complicated path or journey. But when you look at the way it is used in this particular sentence, you can also understand the meaning of the word labyrinth. So let's look at the way it is used. We hid in the bush till they left around 2 o'clock. We started to walk to Cameroon. We traveled for 2 days across several labyrinths. We were in anguish. Our children's feet were swollen. Some of them beaten by snakes died because we were not able to carry them to hospitals for treatment. So from the context of that word labyrinth, you can see that that labyrinth actually means that the journey was complicated and torturous, right? So that's what that word is trying to express in the sentence. So the answer to this question is option D. He had a complicated and torturous journey through the bush. Question 109. Select the option that best explains the information conveyed in the sentence. It is highly improbable that it will snow in June. Option A, it is highly unlikely that it will snow in June. B, it is possible that it will snow in June. C, it will never snow in June. And D, the snowfall will probably be high in June. So the answer to this question is option A, it is highly unlikely that it will snow in June. So the word improbable means something that is not likely to happen, an event that is not likely to occur. So the option that best explains that the information conveyed in the sentence is it is highly unlikely that it will snow in June. Although it might feel like option C, it will never snow in June, is the answer to this question, but it's important to note that the question says highly improbable. That means the chances of it snowing in June is very low, right? So it doesn't state that it will never snow in June. It's just saying that the chances of it snowing in June is low. It is unlikely for it to snow in June. So option A is the answer to this question. Do you know you can take practice questions with our simulated JAMB CBT past question? All you need to do is to go down to the link in the description below. This takes you to the Myschool website, or you can download the Myschool mobile app for your Android devices and the Myschool software for your laptops and computers. Please go ahead and start practicing. Now to question 110. Again, we have to select the option that best explains the information conveyed in the sentence. He played his wife false by inviting his mistress to the house as his cousin. Option A, he brought his cousin to his wife's room. B, his cousin and his wife were friends. C, he cheated on his wife with his mistress. And D, he helped his wife with his mistress. So the answer to this question is option C, he cheated on his wife with his mistress. And we can see that because in this sentence it says he played his wife false. To play someone false means to act deceitfully in front of someone. Okay, so the only option that has that negative connotation is option C. Option A, B, and D has a positive connotation. To bring your cousin to your wife's room, there is nothing negative happening in that sentence yet. So option B, his cousin and his wife were friends, positive. Then option D, he helped his wife with his mistress. It still has a positive connotation. But option C has a negative one. He cheated on his wife with his mistress is the answer to this question. I believe you're enjoying this content. If yes, please don't forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and lastly, tap on the notification bell to get informed as soon as we release the next videos. Question 111. Select the option that best explains the information conveyed in the sentence. Driving in Lagos is a difficult task. Option A, it is an easy task to drive in Lagos. B, it is a difficult task driving in Lagos. C, it is a Herculean task driving in Lagos. And D, it is not a difficult task to drive in Lagos. So the answer to this question is option C, it is a Herculean task driving in Lagos. So the word Herculean is coined from the name of a Greek god, Hercules. So Hercules was someone who is remarkable for his exceptional strength and efforts. So it was coined from that particular person. So Herculean means to do something with great strength and effort. So it best describes that sentence because it says driving in Lagos is a difficult task. So it can also be described as a Herculean task because it requires great strength and effort to drive in Lagos. So it may feel like option B is the answer because it says it's a difficult task driving in Lagos. But please note that this particular option is designed to confuse the students. So it is a difficult task driving Lagos does not express the sentiment in that sentence. Driving Lagos makes this feel like Lagos is a person that you are driving. So it should have been, it is a difficult task driving in Lagos. If it was that, option B would have been the answer to this question. But since that is not the case, option C, it is a Herculean task driving in Lagos, is the answer to this question. Question 112. Again, we have to select the option that best explains the information conveyed in the sentence. I am given a free hand to run this business. Option A, I am allowed to do my own business. B, I make my own appointments. C, I assist the workers willingly. And D, I alone can choose my executives. So the answer to this question is option A, I am allowed to do my own business. So to give someone a free hand means to give someone the freedom, the autonomy to make decisions and do whatever he pleases in a particular situation. So option A is the best answer to this question because it best conveys the information in that sentence. Other options give extra meaning to the sentence. It adds extra meaning to the sentence. Option B says I make my own appointment. There is nothing in this sentence that suggests that that particular person is allowed to make his own appointment. Option C says that assist the workers willingly. Nothing is expressed like that in this particular sentence. And option D says I alone can choose my executives. There is nothing about being able to choose executive in this particular sentence. So option A says I am allowed to do my own business. It best expresses the information conveyed in that sentence, although it doesn't express it exactly. Option A, I am allowed to do my own business, is the answer to this question. Question 113. Again, we have to look for the option that best conveys the information in the sentence. The government has promised to pay our gratuity. We need to have our fingers crossed. Option A, we should ignore the promise. B, we should be united in purpose. C, we should remain hopeful. And D, the promise would exchange handshake. So the answer to this question is option C, we should remain hopeful. To keep your fingers crossed means to remain hopeful. Hopeful that a positive outcome will eventually come out of that particular situation. So the government has promised to pay our gratuity. It's a good thing. And it says we need to keep our fingers crossed. That means we need to remain hopeful that the government would actually pay the gratuity. So option C, we should remain hopeful, is the answer to this question. Question 114. Choose the option opposite in meaning to the word or phrase underlined. She looks very pale. A, ruddy. B, strange. C, sick. And D, weak. So the answer to this question is option A, ruddy. To be pale actually means to have a lighter, unhealthy complexion. That means a lot of blood has run out of your face. So you look very light in complexion as a result of that. But the opposite of that is ruddy. Ruddy actually means to have a red complexion because you have a healthy glow. That means you have a lot of blood flowing around your face. So option A, ruddy, is the answer to this question. Question 115. Again, we have to look for the word opposite in meaning to the underlined word. Before going to bed, make sure you extinguish all the lights. Option A, turn off. Option B, turn out. Option C, switch on. And option D, switch off. So the word extinguish actually means to put out or turn off something. So the opposite of that would be to switch on. So it would be to switch on the lights. Option C, switch on, is the answer to this question. Question 116. Again, we have to look for the word opposite in meaning to the word underlined. Iberi's indolence contrasts with her sisters. Option A, indulgence. Option B, laziness. Option C, diligence. And option D, prudence. So the answer to this question is option C, diligence. To be indolent means to be lazy or to constantly avoid work. The opposite of that would be diligent. Diligent means to put persistent effort into your work. So option C, diligence, is the answer to this question. Question 117. Choose the option opposite in meaning to the word or phrase underlined. The roads in major cities are broad. Option A, curvy. Option B, slim. C, wide. And D, narrow. The answer to this question is option D, narrow. Broad means wide or spacious. So the opposite of that would be something narrow or restricted in width. So option D, narrow, is the answer to this question. Choose the option opposite in meaning to the word or phrase underlined. He gave an indifferent look at his dismissal. Option A, a strong. B, a concerned. C, an uninterested. And D, an unresponsive. So the answer to this question is option B, a concerned. So to have an indifferent look means to not show any care or concern about a particular person or a thing. So the opposite of that would be concerned, a concerned look. A concerned look means showing great care or attention to a particular thing or a particular person. So option B, a concerned, is the answer to this question. Choose the option that is nearest in meaning to the word or phrase underlined. The official has declared the election inconclusive. Option A, clear. B, satisfactory. C, indeterminate. And D, perfect. So the answer to this question is option C, indeterminate. When something is inconclusive, it means it doesn't have a clear or defined result or answer. So the nearest meaning to that would be indeterminate. Something that is indeterminate is something that is uncertain or undefined. So it is similar in meaning to inconclusive, something that doesn't have a clear result. So option C, indeterminate, is the answer to this question. Again, we have to choose the option nearest in meaning to the underlined word. His reckless remark did not go unnoticed. Option A, salient. B, considerable. C, taciturn. And D, unguarded. The answer to this question is option D, unguarded. To make a reckless remark means to make a remark that is without careful thought or consideration, a remark that is careless. So the nearest meaning to that is unguarded. Something that is unguarded is without restraint or caution. So it is nearest in meaning to the word reckless. So the word salient means something that is easily observable, right? The word considerable means something that is substantial, that has a lot of value. Then the word taciturn means someone who doesn't talk a lot, who is usually very quiet and reserved. So unguarded is nearest in meaning to the word reckless. Option D is the answer to this question. Do you have a question? Please feel free to ask a question by going down to the link in the description below. This takes you to my school website where you can ask your question and the solution will be provided to you within a short period of time. Again, we have to choose the option nearest in meaning to the underlined word. The old fire station has obviously become derelict. Option A, moribund, B, glamorous, enlivened, and D, titivated. So the answer to this question is option A, moribund. To have a derelict place, or a derelict place is a place that is in a state of serious disrepair or abandonment. So the nearest meaning to that would be moribund. Moribund means in a dying or decaying state. So they are similar in meaning to each other. Option A, moribund, is the answer to this question. Do you have a better explanation or solution to any of this question? If you do, go down to the comment section below, indicate the question number and the solution you'd like to share. Again, we have to choose the option nearest in meaning to the underlined word. Death is inevitable. Option A, unavoidable, B, predictable, C, distant, and D, surmountable. So the answer to this question is option A, unavoidable. Inevitable means something that cannot be avoided, something that is certain to happen. So it is similar in meaning to the word unavoidable, something that cannot be avoided, something that is certain to happen. So option A, unavoidable, is the answer to this question. Choose the option that best completes the sentence. I had to put up my house as dash for the bank loan. Option A, pledge. Option B, agreement. Option C, collateral, and D, surety. So the answer to this question is option C, collateral. Collateral is a terminology that is associated with banking and finance. So whenever you borrow money, you put up something in collateral. That means as a security for the loan, in exchange for the loan that you've collected. So this is security just in case that borrower refuses to repay the loan. So collateral is that security, something you have to put up, something of value that you have to put up in exchange for a loan, just in case you cannot repay the loan. Option C, collateral, is the answer to this question. Again, we have to choose the option that best completes the sentence. The beggar would be grateful for even a dash of bread. A, crash, B, crush, C, crash, and D, crust. The answer to this question is option D, crust. The crust is that outer part of a piece of bread. So it is the most undesirable part. So the beggar would be grateful for even that humble part of the bread in order to survive. So option D, crust, is the answer to this question. Question 125. Choose the option that best completes the sentence. These properties were dash sale before the fire gutted them. Option A, up for, B, up on, C, out for, and D, down on. So the answer to this question is option A, up for. Up for is the appropriate prepositional phrase to use in this particular context. It means that the properties were available for sale before the fire gutted them. So you make use of up on when you are saying something is up on the roof, for example. Then you use out for maybe when you're saying someone is out for revenge. Then down on, when you look down on someone, you denigrate someone. So down on can't be the answer to this question. So the answer to this question is option A, up for. I believe you're enjoying this content. If yes, please do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and lastly, tap on the notification bell to get informed as soon as we release next videos.